This is Return to Base, a VeteranLife podcast.
You know, it started, my mom fell in love with a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that. No, I'm just kidding. It would have been better if it was the Army, but...
Well, when I was in elementary school, you know, I remember that time in my life, and I remember being so grateful to him, because at that time he was the closest thing I knew to a dad.
Oh.
And he touched my life in some very meaningful ways. But I also saw sort of what happened in their relationship and the struggles he went through in his deployments to Vietnam. And one of the things that always stood out to me is that he felt a lot safer in Vietnam than he did coming home and facing the challenges of marriage and family.
Yeah.
That he felt like he had the skills, the tools, the knowledge to navigate whatever he faced in war.
Yes.
But he didn't have anything to face the challenges at home. And so much of my mom's life went on to helping military and veteran families. Her offices were in Falls Church, Virginia. She was a marriage and family therapist.
Oh.
And what she found is that people were missing skills. And for the military community in particular, who learned skills to be the tip of the sword, you know, to prepare for, you know, operations that required incredible courage and bravery. But they didn't have the skills for the mission of their families, for raising their sons and daughters, for intimacy. And it wasn't that anything was broken or defective. It was just that how can you expect people to know what they never learned?
Yeah.
So she started teaching that. She developed a program called PAIRS, which stands for Practical Application of Intimate Relationship Skills. Just a few minutes from the Pentagon in Falls Church, actually in Alexandria, Virginia. And what we saw, I remember, you know, years later hearing from people who had become generals and admirals, that if it wasn't for the skills they learned, not only would their families still be together, but they would have never succeeded to the extent they did in their careers. But people don't know what they don't learn.
Right.
And we do what we know, you know, the same as we put on whatever outfit we have in our closet. But when you teach people how to communicate, which is much more about listening than speaking, when you teach people skills for dealing with conflict and differences in ways that strengthen the relationship, which is the only winner, is if the relationship wins. When you teach people to understand emotions in themselves and others, and the skills to find their own answers, so many miracles become possible. And then you can add lots of other things to it, you know, whether it's medications or groups or all the different, you know, therapies and processes that we as a culture and society have developed. But the foundation is the skills with the person you share your life with.
Right.
And I got into it by seeing those miracles, you know, sitting and as a youngster growing up and hearing people talk about the impact it was having on their lives. In 2008, 2009, the chaplains at the Charlie Norwood VA in Augusta reached out and said that the impacts they were seeing on combat veterans returning from deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan, the increases they were seeing in suicides, the exponential epidemic they were seeing of marriage and family breakdown, that they needed a new approach. And they asked me and our foundation to volunteer. They said, you know, we don't have a penny of funding, but we need help. And went up and did a retreat Friday night, Saturday, Sunday for a group of about 30 combat veterans and their spouses over a Valentine's Day weekend. And, you know, that was 2009. Even today, I'm still in touch with people that say that changed their entire life. That people, veterans who were actively contemplating suicide, got to a really good place, literally in minutes. That marriages that were on the brink of, you know, collapse, and families got to a really good place, not where people could just survive together, but where they were really happy together. And that wasn't because me or anyone else came and told people the answers to their questions. It was because we gave people skills, really simple skills, to find their own answers. So over the years following, we trained hundreds of VA professionals, primarily chaplains and behavioral health specialists across the country. And today, a veteran can walk into almost any VA and say, how can I and my significant other, wife, husband, participate in Warrior to Soulmate? And if they don't have it available, they should be able to put the veteran in touch with someone who can make it available. We've also done extensive work with active duty military, particularly Navy and Marine Corps, where Navy chaplains are being trained to teach these skills to their sailors and Marines, even during their deployments, so that for those who are in contact with their loved ones, or because they're together, or when they return home,
right,
they have skills for that mission in their life.
Oh, that's very interesting. The idea of it being a skill, I think, is something that we don't expect per se, right? We think that these are just behaviors instead of skills. And you mentioned when people go off to combat or in the military, we have skills that we've acquired. We have battle drills, for instance. We know what happens if we come across with a near ambush or a far ambush or a whatever scenario. We have battle drills. Okay, I'm going to hit the deck, I'm going to lob grenades, return fire, and peel off. Where when people come back, it is an interesting dynamic when people come back and they're expected to drop those skills. They've been so switched on about battle drills. I assume that people continue battle drills with their relationships. Conflict, wife comes at you with, you've just been home for a couple days or a week. Wife comes at you with maybe some financial thing or some conflict, and people react nearly the same way. Hit the deck, throw some grenades, metaphorically speaking, of course. Return fire, definitely metaphorical speaking, and then peel off. I think you could kind of peel those back, and you can see those battle drills do relate to a lot of the toxic behavior that we do bring home.